Thanksgiving, our Thanksgiving edition of the DNVR Broncos podcast. One day before Thanksgiving, we've got a jam-packed show. We're going to be picking the Thanksgiving games. We're going to be picking the Broncos games. We're going to be talking to our guy, Baldy, and we are going to be breaking down this Broncos-Browns game. See if the Broncos can keep the good times rolling. We've got some good times rolling here with Alexis Perry, Todd Davis. We got you here behind the camera. And yours truly, Zach Stevens, rolling with you today on the DNVR Broncos podcast. How is everyone doing?
Feeling great. One day to Thanksgiving, your favorite holiday of the year.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be a good one. I'm excited. My mom's already started cooking and prepping, so can't wait.
I know. I'm trying to figure out, do I want to go down tonight? Do I want to go first thing in the morning? My cousin's in town, so I'm excited. I think I might go down tonight and do a little extra family time.
Fun. Where are you going?
Just to Parker.
Nice.
That's where I'm from.
Yep.
I know. Good old South Parker.
But as we found out, that's not where you're actually from.
No. Originally, I am from California, Fresno, California, of all places. That's where I was born and raised. But I was here for my formative years. So I like to call myself a native, but I won't ever tell a native that because we all know how they take it. So.
You're
from Colorado.
You're not from Colorado.
You're that bumper
you
sticker.
can't claim it.
I wasn't born here, but I got here as quick as I could.
I got here as quick as I
Yep.
could. Literally. Just in time. 8th grade.
Yep.
Real tough transition years there for an 8th grade girl. Back in and we remember, this isn't like 8th grade now where like girls are cool. Like you're like a dork in 8th grade, right? So like it wasn't great.
Those TikToks of like high schooler, when I was in high school and now the high schoolers now, it's insane.
Yeah, like how we were dancing in front of like the home video camera to like these girls. Yeah, it's crazy. It's insane.
There was a big deal made last year of Nathaniel Hackett giving the Broncos Thanksgiving off and changing their day off in the week from Tuesday to Thursday so that players could be home with their families.
Yep.
Some people absolutely lost their minds over it. I know on this show we didn't really care. Sean Payton doesn't care. They're practicing just like normal on Thanksgiving. Do you have an issue feeling one way or the other what the Broncos do?
No, I think to each their own. As long as players get like a majority of the day off to, spend with their family and get some good food, I think that's all that matters. But yeah, it's to each their own, really, I guess.
It doesn't matter when it comes to the game.
No, I don't think it changes the game.
I feel like they're in a routine right now, right? They're on a win streak. They're hot right now. I think you have to continue doing what you're doing, preparing like you have been. Then again, I've never been in the room. I've never had to sit there throughout the day being like, oh, I just want to get home and get to that sweet potato pie. But I have to assume right now these guys are pretty locked in and excited to get another dub. So I just have a feeling that they're like, it doesn't matter to us even.
So
have you talked to any of the guys, Todd?
No, but I just remember like your brain's half there anyway. Like you're in the building, but you're totally focused on getting home. And like you probably have family in town. Your mom's cooking, whatever's going on. Like you're half in and half out anyway. So I would say just give guys probably the day off or most of it off.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I like that perspective. And Sean's doing the opposite. He's not even like giving the guys. I think they're getting out a little bit early, but typically, when we were talking about this before the show, typically practice, instead of being at like noon on Thanksgiving, is moved up to like 8 or 9, so guys are out at 10:30. Practice starts tomorrow at 12:30 for the Broncos. They're getting out of there at 2:30 or 3. But
Zach Stevens is missing his family's Thanksgiving. It's worth noting. He's going to be there covering
He's
this
so
team for you
sad.
guys tomorrow.
I'm bummed to not be with my family all day, but yeah, as we talked about yesterday, the food, not too worried about. And I got to get your guys' take on the food, maybe at the end of the show, because we've got a lot to get into with this Cleveland Browns team. A Browns team that is without 2 of their top 3 most important players. I think you can easily make an argument for Deshaun. Not best, but most important players. Deshaun Watson, their starting quarterback. That's going to be in anyone's top 3. And for the Browns, it certainly is. Nick Chubb, the guy that carries their offense, at least we thought going into this season. And then Myles Garrett, the leader, or the third best player, third most important player, Myles Garrett. He will be playing the leader for Defensive Player of the Year. They're 7-3 right now, despite not having two of those guys for a good chunk of the season.
Yeah, they've really been playing like really good football on the defensive side of the ball, and I think just like for us, that defense has been able to get turnovers, takeaways, and really put the offense in prime position to score. Offense hasn't been electric, but they've been able to put together a good running game at times. And was DTR? What's the?
Yep. Yeah, you got it.
Thompson-Robinson, correct?
Thompson-Robinson.
Yeah.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
He came together last week. He didn't have a great game, but he was able to put together a 40-yard drive to put the team in position to win. So that's all you can ask for, man. They've been playing pretty good football for the most part.
Yeah, I think really for the Cleveland Browns, they're winning these games obviously with their defense. They rank first in almost every statistical category, especially per possession. The numbers that they're able to, I think teams are averaging like 2 trips to the red zone per game. So this defense is just absolutely dominant for them. Their time of possession, they are averaging, having the ball in their hands more than 7 minutes more than their opponents this season,
nuts.
which is absolutely incredible. So their defense is getting on and getting off the field at a rapid rate. And I think this is going to be a huge week for this Broncos offense. If they could sustain drives, they will win this football game because this defense does not allow drives. I think they give up like 18 yards per possession. That's insane.
Yeah, it is insane. And to dive deeper into those numbers, the Browns are giving up 243 yards per game. 243 yards
also
per game
insane.
In total yards.
Yep.
That's not just the best in the NFL this year. That's the best in the NFL since the 2008 Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers.
Man.
Yeah.
You got to go 15 years. This is a historically good defense right now in terms of yards given up, and their pass defense is even better than that. They're giving up 143 yards per game. The last team to allow less than 143 yards per game is the 1982 Miami Dolphins.
Crazy.
Who their secondary had a nickname, the Killer Bees, which led them to a Super Bowl. So this defense is the truth all around, specifically against the pass game. And when I look at that, I think, okay, well, then their run defense is still good, but not great. Broncos run the ball 50 times this game. Their defense is great, but it stacks up pretty darn well, as good as you can imagine for this good of a defense with your offense.
Yeah, I think that's our key to success. We kind of went away from it last week, but right now, right here, we got to get back to it. If they want to allow us to run the ball, we've got to take advantage of every opportunity. They're going to be pretty stout in the pass. So let's come out running, and then once they load the box, I think then we find some opportunities to pass the ball.
Yeah, 77 yards the Steelers had passing last week.
Wow.
77 yards. That got Matt Canada fired officially, right?
Dang.
So I just think that this is a week, like you guys said, run the football. Javonte, Samaje, these guys are going to be dead by the end of this game, but I think that's the way, like I mentioned, sustaining drives, keeping the ball out of DTR's hands, that'll be good. But when the ball is in DTR's hands, I have a feeling this defense is going to do work because they're coming off one of their better games from a pressure perspective. They actually got a ton of pressure on Josh Dobbs last week, and I think if they could do that again this week, you're going to put a rookie in a really tough position. So I'm excited, guys.
I'm really excited because it's almost December. And it's legitimately meaningful football coming to Denver. And Alexis, you mentioned the 77 passing yards that the Steelers had against the Browns last week. Todd, how crazy is that? Like, how impressive is that for a defense to hold a team to 77 passing yards?
In this league where, they give a lot of favor to the offense and allow them to, push off or make plays, like, that's just 10. That's like 10 passes of 7 yards. Like, that's craziness.
That's crazy.
The entire game, that's all you got. Like, I think that's lockdown football. And luckily for us, we know that we can win games with not very many more yards. So I know they're averaging, holding teams to 140. Like, we don't even need that many to win the game. So as long as we're close, I think we'll be in a good spot.
So 77's pretty damn impressive.
Yep.
What if I told you that they have 3 other games where they've held teams to fewer than 77 passing yards?
I would not
craziness.
be shocked.
It's nuts. They've held teams to 68 passing yards, 67 passing yards, and 17 passing yards.
That's
17 passing
unreal.
yards.
Who was the 17 passing yards game?
Josh Dobbs and the Arizona Cardinals.
Wow.
How crazy is that?
Wow.
And Josh Dobbs was balling the other night too, so that's interesting.
Yeah,
that he
actually,
wasn't with
wait,
Arizona.
maybe that was Josh Dobbs' first game not in Arizona.
Okay.
So I apologize to Josh Dobbs.
Okay.
If that's the
I
case.
was gonna
That could have
say,
been the
that's
undrafted
crazy.
guy there. But yeah, 17 passing yards. So there's insane games. They held that Arizona team to 58 total yards, which is nuts. They held, let's see, the Titans in week 3 to 94 total yards. Wow. So there's been these games where they've been like
Ballin'.
one of the best defensive performances ever, probably, with those stats, which means that they have bent a little more in other games in order to get those stats to be, for the overall year, really impressive. But they haven't had a 300-yard game against them in total yards. The most they've given up is 288. So this defense is great, but they have given up 6 games of over 100 rushing yards, including their worst rush defense last week against the Steelers for 172 yards.
Yep.
Remember, the Steelers aren't good at running the ball. Najee Harris has been underwhelming.
Yeah.
And they had their Steelers backup running back went off for over 100 yards last week. So this formula is so simple. Run the ball, but what they can't do is what they did last week, where Javonte had 5 rushes in the first half, and that was it.
Yep.
If the Broncos get into that, Myles Garrett is just going to continue to be the leader in sacks in the NFL.
Why was that? Why were the Broncos not running the ball? Did Sean say anything this week so far?
Sean said it was because of the lack of third down success, and he didn't dive into it enough, but I think what he meant was first and second down, they weren't picking up yards.
Okay.
And then so on third down, they were faced with third and longs, and they were behind the sticks.
Okay.
But he also did that to himself because
He didn't run the ball
on first, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there's just zero reason to not be running the ball on first and second down, unless on first down it goes for -2 yards. Then I understand you do have to pass the ball. But if on first down you're getting stuffed for -2 yards and no yards, then it's going to be a world of hurt for the Broncos this game.
Yeah, I think he's in a tough position because you want to run the ball, but you also can't be predictable.
Right.
Like, because then the team's just going to stack the box, and then on first down you're getting 1 or 2 yards, and then you're faced with another tough third down. So he's in a tough position. I think he's trying to find other ways to get guys the ball. Like all those swing routes are technically run plays.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? They just throw it out to the sideline.
Right.
So he's running the ball. Just it's not traditional.
And that's kind of the opposite on what happened on the other side of the ball with the Browns last week. When you talk about a rookie quarterback that they had, they did the opposite
Gunslinger
of what you'd expect. Exactly. I mean, he's like a running quarterback, and he threw the ball
43?
almost. It's insane. Yeah, that is
43
so
passing attempts?
wild. And let's kind of dive into that side of the ball on this game and what needs to happen after I tell you about our friends over at Bet365, where they are all about the unordinary, never ordinary bets you can find over at Bet365. Use the code DNVR365, especially if you want to get in on the betting action. 3 games tomorrow, starting at 10:30
Yep.
is when the Lions kick off. Then you got an afternoon game with the Cowboys, and then you've got that night game as well. So you want to check out Bet365. Use the code DNVR365, and you get to choose between 2 offers. The first, bet safety net of $1,000, or bet $5 and get $150 when you sign up. So use that code BetDNVR or DNVR365 over at Bet365. And you must be 21 and older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
And if you've been hurt, seriously injured, check out our friends over at Backus and Schenker, where you can smash the 222-2222 to set up a consultation. Backus and Schenker has been helping families in Colorado for over 25 years. And the great thing about Backus and Schenker is that you don't pay any money until they win money for your case. And they've won over $1 billion for their clients. They have locations all over Colorado, including Denver, Aurora, Inglewood, and Fort Collins. They have a great staff, and I think you should call them if you weren't at fault. That's the big thing here. Don't call them if it was your fault, but call them if you weren't at fault, whether it was an accident, motorcycle, rideshare, pedestrian. Smash the 222-2222.
So, DTR last week.
Yeah.
Making his second career start. And his first career start, he went out and threw 0 touchdowns and 3 interceptions.
Yep.
So what should the game plan be should be
run
to
the ball.
run the damn ball, especially when you have the third best rushing offense in the NFL this year. And they didn't do that.
Yep.
DTR dropped back 43 times against the team with the Steelers who have TJ Watt, arguably maybe the second best defensive player in the NFL this year outside of Myles Garrett. If they do this again, they are just playing right into the Broncos' hands.
Yeah, I think coaches sometimes try to get too complicated. They try to be too smart. Like, oh, they know we're about to run the ball, so let's go to pass. Like, they barely skated away with that game. Like, if they try to do that this week, I think it's going to be wraps from them after the first quarter. I think it'll be similar to that 0 touchdown, 3 interception game that he had his first time out, because our back end is playing very well and getting their hands on a lot of turnovers. I don't think it stops against a young quarterback that's had some struggles.
Yeah, and I think, right now the Browns, they're giving up. Well, they have the most giveaways in the league this season. They are averaging 2 a game. So if there's a week that this team right now is going to eat, everybody keeps saying, man, are all these takeaways, is this sustainable? Yeah. I think they can sustain it one more week for sure.
Yep.
I think they're going to pick them apart.
Yeah, I totally agree. And DTR last week in his second start goes out and throws 43 passes, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's got 0 passing touchdowns and 4 interceptions on the season. If they throw 30 times, I think the Broncos are going to get 3 interceptions. They might also get a fumble in there. If they throw 40 times, let's just add another one on there. I'm going to go a turnover for every 10 passing attempts that DTR has. Now, the one thing with him is he can run. And if you let their running backs, Kareem, Hunt, and Ford, if you allow them to run, and then DTR is also able to scramble, that's when things get out of hand. And we've seen the Broncos run defense really slip up these past 2 weeks. The Bills didn't like to run the ball. They don't run the ball, and they were able to do that. The Vikings don't run the ball. They don't like to run the ball, and they were able to run the ball against the Broncos. A Browns team that likes to run the ball? Todd, tell me if I'm making it too simple, because you said sometimes teams will overthink things or underthink things. Shouldn't the Broncos just load the box 8 to start the game? And unless DTR starts picking them apart, they should just keep 8 guys in the box every single play, unless it's, 3rd and 15?
Without a doubt, because I feel like our struggles aren't with the scheme, it's with the physicality in the run game. I feel like guys are doing a much better job tackling with physicality in space in the passing game, but when it comes to the run game, we're not manhandling people the same way.
Yeah.
And so we need extra bodies in the box to be able to account for if somebody does get pushed or thrown out the club, like another body's there to make that tackle. So I think we definitely need to load the box and make them throw the ball, make them one-dimensional. If he beats us throwing the ball, we'll take it.
Yeah.
We'll live with that, but we can't let them run for 250 yards on the ground and just tear us apart. So much rather have them throwing the ball.
Yeah, it felt like one of those games last week where you were just watching it unfold and you're like, okay, guys aren't wrapping up, guys are missing tackles, Josh Dobbs is shaking guys off. Like, it just felt like they were incredibly elusive. And so I feel like this was a good week for them to be able to watch that tape now going up against a guy like Jerome Ford and what the Browns have to offer on the ground. So kind of a good timing for last week for them to kind of have a bad game, because I think they're going to come out wanting to prove something this week against the run.
And it's just crazy how well this, just with being a 7-3 Browns team, a really good team, how crazy well this team stacks up for the Broncos on both sides of the ball. Because you look at the receiving options for the Browns, they've got one guy, and it's Amari Cooper. Well, that's kind of music to the Broncos' ears, because the Broncos have one guy that they can really clamp down any receiver, definitely a guy like Amari Cooper. But Amari Cooper, 749 receiving yards. He's having a heck of a season so far. I mean, that's on pace for like 1,400 yards this year. Then David Njoku, a tight end, is their next guy. That could cause the Broncos issues, especially with the way that the Vikings' backup tight end kind of took advantage of the Broncos last week. But then you drop down, and their third leading receiver is Elijah Moore, who has less than 400 yards on the season so far. So there's 2 guys you have to worry about, and one of them, Pat, can just shut him down. So this is like, man, you couldn't have asked for a good team going up against the Broncos that matches up really any better.
Yeah, I would say offensively they're the worst 7-3 team in the league. So I think this is a good matchup for the Denver Broncos. They should come out and play well. Amari Cooper's a talented wide receiver, but he spends so much time on the line trying to make guys miss I don't think that DTR is going to have that much time back there. So he better get into that route quickly. But then again, you got Pat Surtain on you. Don't feel like he's going to have a great day. So should bode well for the Denver Broncos.
I just think this is going to be the lowest scoring game of the year.
My goodness.
I think these are two extremely talented defenses going head to head. And it's, I mean, I think I say it later in the show. It's 13-10, I think, is like a stretch even. I think this could be like single digits.
6-9 game.
Yeah. I think people are going to be really bored, but I think this is one of those games where it's like really be thankful that the defense has rebounded the way that they have, because I think they're going to keep this offense in this game.
Alexis, I completely agree with you about this just being a grinded out, low-scoring game, because the Browns and Steelers, everyone knew that was going to be a low-scoring game. Last week, the over-under was set, I think, at like 32.5, which is ridiculously low. Games typically never go beyond or below like 36, 37 points.
Yeah.
That one was 32.5, and the under hit by almost 10 points.
Yeah.
Like, that's how crazy it was. And so the Broncos over-under for this game, give me a guess of what you think it is.
The total for this game?
Yeah, the over-under according to Vegas.
32.5.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I think it should be like 28 personally, but
I know they probably should be. Yeah, this one's 35, which is really low, but still seems like it could be a lot lower. That's the third lowest line this week. There's two games that are lower than that. One of them involves the Steelers, who can't do anything on offense. Steelers and Bengals. Bengals backup quarterback. That one's set at 34.5. And then the Patriots and Giants. What a miserable game to have to watch. I mean, at least the Broncos is like, there's the reason why it's such a low over-under is because it's two really good defenses.
Yep.
This one, the Patriots and Giants, it's low because it's just two awful teams.
At least it's not on Thanksgiving.
Oh, thank goodness.
Like,
all NFC games on Thanksgiving.
Weird.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah, sure. I'll
like
take
you
it.
said yesterday, I think you said, maybe it was yesterday, Lions playing on Thanksgiving.
Wild.
And I'm excited.
I know.
I'm excited for this Thanksgiving Lions game, which is like said by no one ever.
It's so true. It's the first time that the Lions have been like a game above 500 or two games above 500 on their Thanksgiving game in 30 years.
Dang.
Dan Campbell,
Just
man.
nuts.
They have turned it around, man. I mean, like, if that's the trajectory of what the Denver Broncos could be, what was it, like in 2 years to turn around?
Yeah.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, next year to be 8-2, I'd sign up for it right now.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah, and finish the season. I think the Lions finished 8-1. Now, if the Broncos do that, because they didn't start 1-6, they started 1-5.
Yeah.
Broncos are making the playoffs. And speaking of playoffs, you hear? Can we pull up the playoff graphic? This game, to me, is absolutely massive when you look at the playoff picture and look at where things could shake out come the end of December and the beginning of January. Because the Broncos, 2 games back of the Browns, but the Browns are 2-2 when they don't have Deshaun Watson. They're 5-1 when they have Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson has been okay, 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions this year. That's like fine, good, nothing great. But it just shows how good the rest of their team is when they have just like fine quarterback play, that they're a really good team. But you know what their touchdown to interception ratio is when they've had DTR and then PJ Walker start the other 4 games?
Well, DTR has 4 interceptions.
Yep, and no touchdowns.
No touchdowns.
Yep.
And then...
And PJ Walker, I'll give you a hint, was benched in favor of DTR.
Golly.
So they're what, 0-7?
Okay.
0-6?
1-8.
1-8. You're both too nice to these quarterbacks. 0-9.
Jeez.
Can you believe that? For a team that's 7-3.
Yeah.
They won 2 of those games. 2 of those 4 games with 0-9 touchdown to interception ratio.
Todd said it. This is the worst offensive team that has this kind of record.
Man. It's bad.
Yeah, it's such...
Their defense, man.
Yeah.
Defense is keeping them in it. And their kicker has like the most field goal attempts this entire season out of anyone, which is crazy because I thought it was going to be Will Lutz.
Yeah.
It's
We
not.
got to be second.
It's not. It's got to be second.
And speaking of Will Lutz, and I guess the Browns kicker as well, Will Lutz did not win AFC Special Teams Player of the Week this past week, despite putting up 15 points for the Broncos, going 5 for 5. You know what position won Special Teams Player of the Week in the AFC?
Long snapper.
That's a good one. It's probably...
Holder.
It's probably just a notch above both of those.
Damn.
Fullback. A fullback
Really?
won
Okay.
specialty. It's the second fullback to ever win it.
There you go.
He forced a fumble. I think had 2 tackles or something like that.
All right.
Interesting.
He was balling.
Yeah, he was. But Will Lutz is probably going to be big in this game. But to look at the playoff graphic, again, why I mention this is the Browns, maybe they go 500 the rest of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so you look, they probably are going to finish right around 10-7, 9-8. And the Broncos are going to be looking right at that too, right at that sort of record. And that's probably going to be very competitive for maybe the final wild card spot or two. And you know what the first tiebreaker is when it comes to playoffs?
Head-to-head?
Yeah.
Head-to-head. So if you win this game, you don't have to worry about the tiebreaker when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. If you lose this game, well, now you're 3 games behind Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
You can, and you don't have the tiebreaker, so you're technically 4 games behind Cleveland. You can pretty much just write this one off.
Yeah, this is a big game for us, and it's very winnable, man. That's what I love about the rest of the schedule. I'm not scared of any matchups. Houston's going to be a tough game, but every game is winnable. So guys have a great opportunity in front of them, man. I know they're focused. I know they're going to be ready to go. Hopefully they don't eat too much on Thanksgiving, so they're not heavy.
Except maybe the defensive line could.
Eat as much as you want. All those big boys, they're not moving anything. I feel like, honestly, to be honest, I feel like that's how I used to lose in Kansas City. Because everybody would get there, and then all of us wanted to have Kansas City barbecue. So we would all eat till we were just like stuffed, and the next day we're like sluggish. It was too much coleslaw and mac and cheese in your gut. Like, you're not running fast making any tackles like that.
You have the leftovers that morning.
Exactly.
That's gross. I think leftover barbecue in the morning's nasty. Is that just me?
I don't really like breakfast food. So I'd way rather have leftovers.
He's weird, man.
Todd, there's the thing about Zach. I've listened to Zach over the last 5 years. He has a very specific diet.
Because those
And
are probably
no
like
jeans.
breakfast food and Thanksgiving are like my top 2 foods like ever.
So if you go to a brunch place, you're always going to go with the breakfast?
Usually, yeah, without a doubt.
Oh, man.
I'll even have breakfast sometimes at nighttime.
I'll make myself pancakes at 10
Pancakes?
a.m.
Oh, it's delicious.
While
It's fire.
while everybody was at DNVR Friendsgiving last night, I was home working, and I made myself like scrambled eggs for dinner.
Yeah,
No,
perfect.
no. I'll get a breakfast burrito and tell them to just no eggs. No scrambled eggs.
So what's in your burrito? You have hash browns?
Exactly.
Thomas
You just hash browns and
lunch,
sausage?
Zach.
Yeah, essentially a lunch burrito. Yeah, exactly.
Why don't you
All
just get a
right.
wrap?
So now we got to get breakfast and we got to have Thanksgiving meal. So we'll just do it all in one day. We'll just pack in our
just get
day.
it all in one day.
Why don't you just get a wrap?
See, I would do that. But like if I go to a place that only has breakfast. See,
Do you just not like eggs?
I'll eat eggs. I mean, they're fine.
God, we're learning so much.
Eggs
about
are
you.
just creepy, man.
It's so funny
What's
because
creepy about it?
I think the fact that
Just
you don't own
think
jeans is
about
creepy.
what they.
Creepy eggs. Now that's your here's.
Yeah, so your was telling
Your
us.
here's
about
egg cleanse.
Oh,
if
that's
you're
weird.
Latino, and I know Jose is, you would know about the egg cleanse. And if Yvonne and all that, you know about the egg cleanse. You know your grandma took out that egg and tried to take the bad juju away from me.
The
From you.
egg cleanse is something I learned about
I
today.
think about Sanka and his egg on Cool Runnings.
I don't kiss it. That is bad juju. You don't bring in the bad juju.
Kissing eggs is bad juju.
Really?
No. Kissing the bad egg that you just got cleansed with is
kissing
bad juju.
egg. But eating an egg isn't bad juju.
No, it's good juju. It's protein. You want to get big like Todd, you got to eat your eggs.
That's
true.
That's a good point. I go with yogurt.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some protein in there.
Not bad.
Had a protein shake right before I walked in.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Trying to get strong like Todd.
Yeah.
And speaking of getting strong, if you want to watch some strong men on the field this weekend, you want to check out our friends over at Game Time, where you can see the Broncos take on the Browns this week. CU is on the road, but if you're going to Utah, maybe you have some family in Utah, you want to catch that game, check out our friends over at Game Time. Use the code DNVR when you sign up, and you're going to get $20 off your first purchase over at Game Time, where they have tickets for not just football games, but they have tickets for every sporting event, concerts. They've got it all. So check them out over at Game Time and use that code DNVR to get $20 off.
And while you're pre-gaming for these big men that you're going to see, thanks to our friends from Game Time, also check out our friends from Breckenridge Distillery. Breckenridge Bourbon, you guys know they're the official bourbon of Denver Broncos contest. You got the Battle of the Broncos blends going on still. Ed McCaffrey versus Alfred Williams. And you guys can vote and win Breckenridge Distillery and Broncos swag. Did I just say that right? Vote on your favorite and win Breckenridge Distillery and Broncos swag. You guys can enter at BreckenridgeDistillery.com/ this is my favorite one, bourbon dash of dash the dash Denver Broncos / to win. Check that out. # Broncos Bourbon. Did I also probably say that wrong? I'm sure I did.
Guys, don't worry about it. Link is in the description as well.
Link is in the description. This one's always tough. There's a lot of slashes and dashes in this one.
Yeah, and when it comes to bourbon, it's pretty simple. You go to the store, you find the bourbon that says Breckenridge with the massive Bronco on it.
Yep.
And every Broncos fan knows where to go. We've got our guy Baldy joining us in just a second. But you mentioned the Houston Texans game. Mm-hmm. Did you hear the news about that yesterday?
Nope.
It's got flexed into a more primetime slot, kind of.
Huh.
The NFL flexed the Broncos game. It was supposed to start at 2:25 in 2 weeks. They flexed it to the 11 a.m. spot, which is supposed to be less prime time, but they flexed it because you know what game is at 2:25? Is the Eagles 49ers, one of the most highly anticipated matchups of the season. And they thought originally Broncos Texans, come on, Texans are bad. That's not going to be a game. That's not really going to compete with that game. So we'll put it at the same time slot. But now Texans,
that's a real good game.
I mean, this could be a playoff game for the Broncos and Texans. So crazy enough, they actually flexed it to 11 a.m. because they don't want to take eyes off that 49ers-Eagles game, and they want to get more eyes on this one. So Broncos are going to have one more 11 a.m. game coming up.
So they didn't call us and ask if we wanted to wake up earlier to do the pregame show.
Yeah.
We just,
Can you believe
they just flexed us in
We had no
as
say.
well. Okay, let's do it.
We had absolutely no say. That's interesting. I feel like, Todd, 11 a.m. games, do you guys like those games? Like, get it done earlier, or are those kind of rough?
I think I played at 2:25 like most of my career.
Yep.
I probably only had a handful of 11 o'clock games. I feel like they just threw off my schedule.
Yeah.
I didn't like waking up that early. I'd much rather do the 2:25 or the night games. Night games are cool, but it's too early.
I remember
Just need a
2019, 11 a.m. in Buffalo.
Oh.
Worst day of my life.
Yeah.
Like, it's cold, it's early. You got no sleep because you got in late, East Coast, you lose 2 hours. Like, it was tough.
Yeah, and then when it's 11 o'clock, like, you kind of have like a pregame ritual, like even with the food you eat. So now I'm trying to eat spaghetti at like 8:30 to carb up. I'm like, oh, this is terrible.
At least this is Central, right? Houston Central time. So, all right. So it's only 10 our time. So not too bad. Not 9 a.m.
And man, I just, as a player, I would hate that so much because especially the Broncos, they never play. That's got to be like a slight home field advantage for a team that does play 11 a.m. games all the time.
Yeah.
And then a team that never plays them. And I mean, the Broncos have only had 2 this year. They were only supposed to have 2. Now they're having a third. So let's hope that the Broncos are woken up by then. And we know our guy Baldy is awake and joining us right now. Baldy, what is going on? Offensive line mastermind.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. It's good to be with you. You know, it's that time of the year, man. It's a special time, so I'm just enjoying all of it.
Man, so happy and thankful to have you on, Baldy. And this Broncos game that we just saw, you broke down a lot of things on Baldy's breakdowns over at your Twitter. Go check him out over at Baldy NFL. You got so many awesome ones. Yours have picked up a lot of steam around the country for your breakdown of the Broncos, and one of them is about Russell Wilson and just how impressive have his 2 past games been. Not the stat sheet, because the stat sheet's been fine, nothing that blows you away, but his poise and composure at the end of these games.
No question. And that's how a lot of quarterbacks get measured. You get measured by how you play in the postseason, got to get there, and then how you finish games. And can they put the ball in your hands, and can you take the team down the field and make, you know, the type of plays that we've just witnessed the last 2 weeks, but over the course of the last month, where, I mean, it's error-free football, and he's just giving everybody a chance. I mean, converting 4th and 3s and just dodging, you know, every single defender in his way to go find a way to win a game against a hot team. It was nothing short of impressive. And Minnesota's defense is stout. Brian Flores has those guys playing fantastic. That was incredibly impressive by what Russell's done.
Yeah, let's go back to that Vikings game one more time. The Broncos have been running the ball so well, and we really thought that was their key to success. In this last game, they kind of went away from the run. In my opinion, that's Sean kind of have them be more balanced so that they can make more of a playoff push. What was your opinion on that? Was it just the Vikings defense, or is this more of a long-term game plan for the Broncos?
I just don't think they ran the ball real effectively. Like they weren't getting, the chunks. They threw McLaughlin in there. They threw Samaje, Javonte. I mean, it was just tough sledding. And so we went really to the short passing game. And that's kind of what it has been. It was very conservative, but it was dink and dunk. And, when you're not making a lot of mistakes and you're not turning it over, that works. I mean, they weren't getting chunk plays, and they weren't really, win the line of scrimmage like they did the week before against Buffalo. And so I thought that was probably the right approach. I think it could change week to week. It might change this week, against a Cleveland team that actually gives up some yards rushing, but they're very difficult to throw the ball against, and you don't want to hold it very long. So it could change a lot this week.
Hey, Baldy, since you are the offensive line mastermind, last week, this Broncos offensive line, nearly a perfect game in terms of pass protection. They allowed just 3 total pressures, no sacks, 37 dropbacks. It really has been an impressive showing from these guys in terms of pass protection over the past couple weeks. What's really clicking for these guys in that regard right now?
I think a lot of it is, I think Quinn Miners is playing at an extremely high level. But I think, Russell, getting rid of the ball quickly. I was talking to, not to dodge the question, it's going to answer it, but I was talking to Nick Bosa on Sunday, and, he had just had a great game, and he goes, well, it helps if the quarterback gets to hold the ball, Baldy, or the coverage marries it, and so there's a lot of things that go into that, but I thought Russell's maneuverability, escapability, extending plays, he did that a bunch. That helps the line out. Mm-hmm. Sometimes quarterbacks that are real mobile, they sack themselves, and Russell's not doing that. His feel, and that's where I want to go with this. I feel like his feel with this line and how they protect has come a long ways from, say, like I remember the Washington game, I think they hit him 14 times. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I was like, how does he even survive this season if they hit him that many times? And it was going on like that. And so sometimes a quarterback learns a feel with the guys up in front of him, Cushenberry, Bowles, the group. And so I feel like there's a little bit of a dance that goes on, and I feel like that's improving week to week right now.
Yeah, speaking of improvement, I want to ask you a big picture question. The Broncos started 1-5. Now they're just one game back of the playoffs. This is a turnaround that I can't remember a more impressive turnaround, at least so far right now. Is this all on coaching? Who deserves credit here, and where does that get dished out for this turnaround?
Well, when you're 1-5, it always falls on the head coach. And when you win 4 in a row and you climb back into the race, it's on the head coach. The coach, that Sean is just, he's, I don't know. I've been around him a long, long time. He has his fingerprints everywhere, from the game plan to the attention to detail to, how you take the field. Like his hands are on everything, how you practice. So I feel like Sean deserves an awful lot of credit. When you give up 70 to Miami and everybody is calling for the defensive coordinator's head and all the stuff that was going on, and you just stay the course and you don't panic and you don't do any of those things that you easily could do. Other teams have done that already this year. We'll make the coordinator the fall guy. He didn't do any of that. And so I feel like Sean deserves a great deal of praise to this point. Now, they still got to finish strong, and I don't think anybody's celebrating, over, at the facility right now. But I think this is the job of the head coach right now.
As the Broncos try to continue this win streak, they face a very good opponent in the Cleveland Browns. I think it's a battle of two very great defenses. Who do you feel has the better edge going into this game as far as defensive play?
Well, I think Cleveland has the advantage. Jim Schwartz has done a masterful job. What they can do is, like, if they play San Francisco, they play press man coverage and said, beat us. And the 49ers couldn't beat them. The quarterback hadn't thrown an interception in 9 games until he played Cleveland. But last week he played a lot of zone, and so he has ability, and they have the personnel to play a lot of different styles. Myles Garrett over there is a different. There's nobody else like Myles Garrett in this league, And so you have to game plan against him, but there's a lot of other guys that can hurt you. And so I think Cleveland has a little bit of advantage, but I say that, except that I think Denver's had 12 takeaways in the last 4 games. Yep. And so, I mean, sometimes you go, would you rather have the number one defense, or would you rather the defense that can take the ball away better than anybody else? Like, they're not going to be Kareem Jackson blowing up Josh Dobbs this week, unfortunately, but, that's how they're playing the game right now. And so the takeaways can come from a lot of different places. It could be Jaquan McMillian again or whatever, but I like a team that feels like they can keep taking the ball away and giving extra at-bats to the offense and giving good field position. And so in some ways, I might favor Denver right now.
Yeah, I think really offensively for the Cleveland Browns this year, one thing that they're great at doing is just staying on the field. What's the key for this Denver defense up against DTR and this group? How do they get these guys off the field and get the ball into Russell Wilson's hands?
Well, DTR, what did he do? He had one mistake last week, but, he took the team down the field, 40-something yards for the game-winning field goal.
Yep.
It's a very conservative game plan. The ball's not going down the field a great deal. They're giving them very simple reads. I would say that, honestly, the key is, can you stop David Njoku right now? Like, he seems to be the go-to guy in crunch time. Jerome Ford is having a phenomenal season. I mean, look, Nick Chubb is the best running back in football, and they lose him early in the second game of the season, and they're still finding ways to win games, and they're playing with a rookie quarterback. And a backup quarterback for much of the year. So they're doing a great job in Cleveland. But I would say just harassing the hell out of Dorian Thompson-Robinson would be a good start. Like, however you do that. Like, let him feel the heat. Let him see some free hitters coming at him. Let's see what kind of decisions he makes. They've got a very good offensive line. DeJuan Jones, I mean, they're rotating right tackles right now. The left tackle was picked up off a bus stop 3 weeks ago. He was on, and he's played really well. The interior three, when you look at Joel Petonio and Ethan Posick and Wyatt Teller, they might be the best interior 3 in this whole league. Like, they just play the game the right way, and they will cut you up and slice you up on cutoffs and traps and like powers, and they're awesome inside, and they're coached by Bill Callahan, who's as good as there is. So, in fact, I think I have to check on this, but I think Bill Callahan and Sean Payton coached together in Philadelphia. Somebody go look that up. But I think they were together for 2 years at Philadelphia under Ray Rhodes and John Gruden. So that might have happened.
And Baldy, you mentioned Kareem Jackson. The Broncos aren't going to have him. I kind of want to ask you a big picture, because we've heard Tom Brady talk about this earlier this week. We've heard a lot of Broncos come out to support Kareem. And I don't want to ask you whether the suspension was right or wrong, but just what is your take on the current NFL and where it's trending? Is it something that concerns you, like it concerns some of these other players?
Well, I'm all for player safety. I thought when I saw the play by Kareem Jackson, I thought that's how you have to play the game, to change the game. You got a turnover right there. You got points out of the turnover. Those are the plays that, guys just made. Like what Brady was saying about Rodney Harrison and some of the guys he mentioned, like, I can't even show Troy Polamalu highlights. Like, they're too violent, I can't even put Troy out there on video. Like, it would, the game has come that far. I feel like, like Kareem's getting labeled like the way Rodney Harrison got labeled. Like, he's a problem child. He's too violent. He has to. I mean, I understand this is suspension to a degree. Like, you got to change the way you play the game, but there's something about playing the game from that safety position that's part of the position. You have to make intimidating hits. You got the center of the field, the middle of the field, is the most important real estate in the game of football. You have to defend that turf. I agree with Tom to a great degree, but I work for the NFL, so
that's totally fair. I'll give you something that you can 100% speak on as an offensive lineman mastermind. How do the Broncos slow down Myles Garrett, who is the leader for the Defensive Player of the Year right now?
Well, you have to account for him every play. He's not out there every play, but he plays over the left tackle. He plays over the right tackle. He'll line up over the center. No matter where he is, you have to account for him. You can't just leave him one-on-one. I don't care. Garrett Bowles, pick guy. Like, you can't leave him against McGlinchey one-on-one. You always have to have a guy, a slide, a chip. You've got, and if you're going to take a deep drop, screens, let him rush. Quick passes, if it's going to come out like less than 2 seconds, okay. But if you're holding the ball and you're counting to 3, you better have a plan for Myles Garrett, because he'll ruin your play.
Yeah, well, we love it. And Baldy, we got to ask you before you get out, best Thanksgiving dish tomorrow?
Oh, well, I mean, look, it's my favorite. It's my favorite holiday of the year. It's my favorite meal of the year.
Yes.
Like, all the turkey you want with all the gravy and all the stuffing and all the cranberry sauce. And I might start it all off with 2 pieces of blueberry pie or pumpkin pie, whatever's on the table, just because I can. And if I gain 8, that's a good day.
Baldy, what do you have to say?
If I had a penny scale before I started and after I finished, like, I'm hoping there's 8 pounds that are gained.
I love it.
Baldy, Zach Stevens here hates Thanksgiving. What do you have to say to him?
Well, then he just hates life. Thanksgiving is the greatest holiday ever invented. Like, it's just food, family, and football. Yep. And there's nothing better that beats that combination.
Yeah, and I agree with the last 2, or the family and football one. That can't be beat. But I'll take your advice. I'll start off with some pie tomorrow and see if that turns the meal around.
And just pour a big old goblet of red wine and drink it down with it.
Baldy and I are gonna have similar Thursdays. I like that.
We're gonna need the weigh-in update next week, Baldy. Enjoy Thanksgiving. We're thankful for you.
We'll tip the scales. I'll let you know.
Right on. And before we let you go, just got to give a shout out. You guys have been killing it on the All NFL show. You had Andy Reid on. You had Troy Buck on. You've had Joe Buck on. You guys have had so many awesome guests on. So everyone that's watching this, you guys are gonna love it.
We have a cool group coming on Friday. We've got Hassan Reddick from the Eagles. Yep. And we have Deion Dawkins, the left tackle from Buffalo. They play Sunday in Philly, but they both played together at Temple on that field in Philly. And so we're going to have both those guys on, kind of like preempting that game on Sunday. So it's going to be cool. Man,
I mean, just that's a perfect Thanksgiving show right there. You're kind of bringing family back together. I love it, Baldy. Thanks so much. We love your insight.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving,
too,
Baldy.
Man. Love Baldy's insight. And I feel, did you guys reach out to him and tell him to say that Thanksgiving food's the best?
No, it's just.
Are you sure?
Zach, everybody's opinion,
it's literally
yours.
everyone versus you, Zach.
So what's everyone's favorite food on Thanksgiving?
Mine is super controversial, so just heads up. My mom makes the meanest green bean casserole on the planet. I know, look at Todd's face. He's just like,
what is green bean casserole?
I don't know.
I know.
The word casserole scares me.
It's interesting.
It's green beans.
I think it goes right along with the Brussels sprouts we'll be having tomorrow. So.
Cream of mushroom soup, the French, like the onions on top. Like the way my mom does, I don't know, it's good. She also has to do stuffing. You guys, I'm now allergic to squash and zucchini.
Oh no.
So like mom's like classic stuffing recipe has to be changed up this year. So she's gonna have to do something different. Yeah, randomly. I over 30 and now I can eat squash. Yeah, no, I'm freaking out. I'm bummed because her stuffing's pretty good. But yeah, my mom's classics are pretty mean. I know Todd's shaking his head.
I think everybody's Thanksgiving is different. So I think we just have to have like a potluck so everybody can try, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The uniqueness of everyone's household.
Do you have a specialty dish that you cook or do you
or does Zena like kill favorite?
It? I definitely don't cook. I may do I'll cut the turkey.
Yeah.
I'll pour the wine.
Yep.
You'll drink the wine.
I'll help clean up for sure.
Yeah.
But my favorites are like yams and mac and cheese, and kind of like let those come together on your plate and just kind of.
That means like you're mixing them together?
Yeah, they may need the same, because like you need like perfect bites. So the way that I do it, you need a little bit of mac and cheese, need a little bit of yams, and before you chew all that, you gotta take a little bite of cornbread and a little bit of yams. I mean,
that is the worst part of any meal is any mixing.
You don't like?
No.
You're insane.
No, the best bite is just one bite of mashed potatoes.
No.
You can let the gravy mix in on that. I'll give you that.
I have mashed potatoes with everything.
Yeah, but that's a topping. That's different. It's not a food.
You don't mix. Do you even let your food touch on the plate?
No.
mashed potatoes on the protein tomorrow.
This
That's
is
my tip
sad.
for you. Mashed potatoes on it.
Yeah,
so whether
but-
it's turkey or ham,
Like
whatever.
you're missing a piece of life, man.
This guy.
Zach, do you like pizza with toppings?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, no, he just
put
likes
your
the crust.
pepperoni on the side. Put your pineapple over there.
That's a fair question. That's a bit like I could do an ice cream sundae. You
Okay.
could put hot fudge on top of the vanilla ice cream. That works.
Okay.
But like, I don't want my salad touching my spaghetti on the plate. That can't happen.
Okay.
No food touching. No food.
I feel
combining.
so bad for Mrs. Stevens.
Yeah.
She's just like, she has the pickiest eater on her hands.
Except that's the thing. I'm not picky.
He's
I don't know if that's-
particular.
I'll totally eat everything. I'll eat the eggs. I'll eat the Thanksgiving meal.
Just not
it's
combined.
Just like, it's just
You're not
like
enjoying it.
It's just fine. It's fine. There's a reason we eat it once a year because
Okay.
it's fine.
Yeah.
And something that everyone is gonna have this year is a roof over their home when they have Thanksgiving. And Red Hawk Roofing is gonna provide you that roof if you need it for your home, your business. Check out our friends over at Red Hawk Roofing, where they are part of the DNVR family, have been on part of our family for a very long time, so you know that you can trust them. And over at Red Hawk Roofing, they have the best estimators in Colorado. They have a quick response time, decades of experience, quality materials. They've got free, no obligation roof and property inspections and free in-depth photo reports for all of their inspections. Winter is coming, so don't wait. If you need a home for your roof or business, check them out over at redhawkroofing.com.
And if you're in the mood for some shades, you need to check out our friends over at Shady Rays. If you're celebrating Thanksgiving this year and you're going out, you get some kind love and you go on that walk with your cousins, and you come back to the house ready to eat, probably throw in your Shady Rays so grandma's not looking at you crazy. The great thing about Shady Rays is that they have an insane protection in all eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by the lost and broken replacements. So that means if you break or lose a pair, even on the day you buy them, you can bring them back, no questions asked, and they give you a new pair. They have over 250,000 five-star reviews, so everyone loves them. Go get your Shady Rays. You can check them out. You get 50% off using the code DNVR of 2 or more polarized shades. Go get you some Shady Rays.
Speaking of polarized, I don't think I've been crushed in the comments more than with this take right now.
It's a bad take.
Yeah,
That's why.
Apparently, people are saying I grew up on Lunchables. Toothpaste is spicy.
hilarious.
I think that I'm a 3-year-old.
I'm not putting them up because I'm not gonna bash my guy.
You know what?
That's sad.
I grew up Brussels sprouts. I grew up on Brussels sprouts,
Okay.
not the
Look,
Lunchables. So it's like the
Miranda.
opposite spectrum.
Here's something positive. She says that you have the smoothest transitions.
Thank you.
I
Miranda.
think Todd's though was better.
Oh, Todd's are great. You're
Nah,
smooth,
I'm
man.
just trying to get like Zach, man. I'm just trying to get like Zach.
I just don't think I should ever do a read ever. Like when sitting next to you two,
No, you've crushed it.
you guys are like legit 5-star ad readers.
You
and
know
I'm
what?
just like,
You know what we
scrub.
need for that? We need a
Are you-
parting shot from Breckenridge
Look
Distillery.
at that transition,
for
though.
that. And let's
He's too
get
good.
in to our final takes, which is parting shots presented by Breckenridge Distillery. If you need to bring something over to mom's house, grandma's house, if you're having people over, check out BreckenridgeDistillery.com to get Breckenridge Distillery for tomorrow. For Friday, Black Football Friday, for the very first time in the NFL. And you've got college football on Saturday, Broncos on Sunday. It is crazy. Tomorrow starts 5 straight days of great football.
Yeah.
So excited. Breckenridge Distillery also makes really good Christmas gifts, so stock up.
Yes.
Thinking about that.
that's
Also,
a great
real
one.
quick, I do want to shout out Todd for the reference to the walk.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I love that because that is happening this year again, and I don't care who knows it.
Exactly. It's like when you're sitting there eating a meal and you look up and like 3 of the big cousins are gone and they come back and everybody's real chill. And
I know what walk you're talking
Happens.
about. I totally did not pick up on that.
That's why his
Just like I
transition was
probably
better than
never
yours.
pick up on
Christmas,
the
yeah.
on the walks that the family does until I realize I'm like, where have you been? And then before I ask a question, I'm like, oh, gotcha.
they've been
Man,
on that walk.
that is good. Yeah, here, did you just do a walk?
No, actually I didn't, but
okay.
I will be doing a lot of walks this weekend. I'll tell you that much.
I love it. So let's get into our parting shots. But first, Todd, can you fire us up?
Let's do it.
Can you hear fire us up?
I got it. Hey, get turned up, TD. Let's go get this man turned up. But this feel fucking great. This is fucking great right here, baby. Yeah. We got to cross the line. It's time to whoop their ass. It's time to whoop their ass. Let's bring it to these boys now. Let's go, y'all. It's on us. Let's go to one. Let's go to one. Broncos on 3. 1, 2, 3. Broncos.
Todd just asked me what my favorite type of food is, and funny enough, I don't eat a lot of meat, but I'll eat meat occasionally. But I was asked this, and my wife was around me, and she's like, fried chicken. I'm like, what are you talking about? Fried chicken? And then she's like, we like sesame chicken. I'm like, okay, yep, that's it. Sesame chicken, because it's fried chicken with a sweet sauce, a little sweet and spicy sauce on top. That can't be beat.
You are 3 years old. I love it.
But I never get to eat it because my wife is a health nut.
You work on Colfax. Do you know how many good Chinese
true.
places are right here within walking distance?
But see, I bring like a fruit bar and a whole,
you got some chocolate under the bed.
I don't think she'll divorce you if you get a little sesame chicken every now and then.
Get a little wild and have some sesame chicken.
I think you guys are good. I think you guys are stable enough.
Zach,
to
it's
have
over.
this
I
meal.
saw the trash.
Zach goes for a walk and just eats sesame chicken on the way out.
There was a white styrofoam container in the trash can with goop all in it.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
that's
no, I
pretty
think you
much-
guys can
That's
get
pretty much
past
what
that.
it is. Yeah,
Cool.
I think you're right. Thanks for giving me that courage.
Yeah,
Alexis.
you're welcome.
Okay, let's hop into these picks. And before we give out our Broncos pick, we got a lot of picks to give out. And let's actually start with tomorrow's games. Let's pick these against the spread, and these are not going to count against our record.
Thank
so these
God.
ones are just for fun. Let's get through these quickly. We got the Lions playing the Packers. Lions obviously at home, starting at 10:30 tomorrow. Lions are a 7.5-point favorite. How do you see this going, Alexis?
Lions covering the spread. Easy.
Agree with that. They're a much better team. Even though the Packers beat the Chargers last week, they're
Meh.
still trash.
Yeah, very trash.
Lions as well, cover that spread?
Yeah, I agree. I think the Lions are playing really, really good football right now, so they'll cover the spread pretty much with ease.
Yeah,
Get that
I
turkey
agree.
leg.
Next game, biggest spread of the day. Cowboys hosting the Commanders, 12.5-point favorite for the Cowboys. Todd, do they cover that?
No, they don't cover 12.5. That's a lot of points, but I do think they win. The Cowboys have been so up and down this year, and I don't want to pick them because half my family is Cowboys fans, but I can't lie. I think they're going to play some good football and get the win. 12.5 points, that's a lot, man. And I think anytime, even the Broncos, when we've been big underdogs, it's never been that bad. It's never really ended up that way.
No, and the Commanders, was it last week? I think they held really close to the Seahawks in Seattle. They're good enough to cover the 12, but I agree the Cowboys will win. However, Cowboys have only won on Thanksgiving once in the past 12 years.
Wow.
Is that nuts?
And they always play on Thanksgiving.
Yep,
like that's
exactly.
a given.
I
Yeah.
love to see Jerry Jones sad in his box on Thanksgiving.
So, massive upset?
So I don't have a massive upset. I think the
Okay.
Cowboys win, but I don't think they cover.
yep, I
So
agree.
have Commanders on that.
And then the final game of the night, we've got the 49ers going into Seattle to play the Seahawks. 49ers on the road, 7-point favorite.
Take 49ers to cover. Personally.
I hope you're wrong, Alexis, because I hope it's a good game. That's like the one that I'm definitely focused on after Broncos practice is done, after family stuff in the morning. So I hope the Seahawks cover, and because of that hope, I'll say they cover.
I'm not a 49ers fan, but I do like when they play well. I don't know, something
Yeah.
about the defense. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm just always love good defense. So I do want them to cover and, put together a good game.
Well, in Sacramento State's Bay Area,
Yep.
right? So,
I
I
also-
mean, that's kind of your roots.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're like a Denver sports fan, like Shanahan, you have Christian McCaffrey there, like you just
100%.
kind of like, you feel some weird connection to the 49ers just
Won
because
the
of
Super
who's in that
Bowl and
building.
Candles. No, it's not Candlestick anymore.
No,
In,
Levi Stadium.
Levi Stadium.
Levi.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. There's a connection there between us and the 49ers.
It's so
I
true.
think.
I do think like most of Broncos country right now, their second team or their NFC team would be the 49ers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of
don't
people
forget
are
about
with
John
you.
Lynch.
Yep.
Yep.
Exactly.
Come on.
Yeah, it's so true. Okay, let's get into our real picks now around the AFC, and let's start with the Chiefs taking on the Raiders. Now, this one's not against the spread. We're just picking straight up. Raiders 8.5-point dogs at home. Raiders 2-1 in their last 3 games. Bless you here. The Chiefs 1-2 in their past 3 games. You think that streak continues?
No, I think the Chiefs win this game. The Raiders have been playing good football. They got that boost from firing their head coach, and I think you've seen it play out well for them. But I think the Chiefs are just too good of a team. They're not scoring any points in the second half, but I think they'll score enough in the first half to get the game over with.
I feel like things are going to settle for the Chiefs this week, and they're just going to just smack them.
I think that's going to happen specifically in the second half. I think
I love that for them.
Now they're embarrassed, and the stats going out there, and everyone knows how bad they are in the second half. Here's the question with this game, though. Who should the Broncos be cheering for? Because I don't know. Because the Raiders are 5-6. So if they win and the Broncos lose this week, then the Raiders actually will be half a game ahead of the Broncos for that final wild card spot. But if you want to go for the division, then you want the Raiders to win and the Chiefs to lose, because if the Broncos win and the Chiefs lose, Broncos will only be one game out of the AFC West lead. Is it asking too much?
For both teams to lose.
Yes. Yes, and that would be asking too much. But I mean, right now, if you had to pick one team to root for, who do you root for here?
I think the Raiders, because if we are able to somehow win the division, then it doesn't matter about them having a game and we're in the hunt. Like, we win the division, we're going to get a playoff spot. So I think you want the Raiders to win.
I think you want the Raiders to win too, because I don't know what the rest of their schedule is, but I know they're the Raiders, and they're probably going to lose a lot more games than the Chiefs will down the stretch. So I like the idea of the Broncos fighting for the division, given it's something that they haven't been able to claim for a very long time. So I can't believe I'd say go Raiders, but yeah, like I said, if both teams could lose that game, that'd be great.
Yeah, you could say like go Vegas. That doesn't feel as gross coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, it's just like,
And I think you guys are right. This is the gamble one, because you're gambling a lot more by asking the Raiders for at least one more week to kind of be in the mix a little more. But this is what you do because you play the Raiders at the end of the season.
Yeah,
so if
you
you
could
are
beat them.
fighting for that final spot, man, week 18 could be exciting. So I'm also taking, unfortunately, the Chiefs to win this one. And everyone is taking the Chiefs to win this one. Ryan's also got the Chiefs and Henry.
And you could be in Vegas.
Yep.
With us.
Yes.
Circa.
Yes.
It's going to be lit week 18. If you guys haven't entered that, you have to.
And it's going to be...
What a giveaway.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be an insane time there. Even if you don't win the giveaway, come with us. I think you're getting 20% off your stay at Circa. You're getting tickets to our tailgate, our watch party, stadium swim. We've got it all. So check out the link in our description to get in on that trip as well. We'll all be there as well. Okay, now we've got Sunday Night Football. We've got the Ravens, the number 1 seed in the AFC, going into Los Angeles to play the bottom of the cellar AFC West team, Chargers. Todd, do the Chargers pull off what is now a miracle for them and keep their season alive?
No, I think they continue to charge. The Ravens are a really good team. They have a really good defense. I think this defense is the only defense that has more takeaways than the Broncos.
Yep.
And I think Herbert will give you 1 or 2. So I'm going to pick the Ravens to come away with this game.
Alexis?
Ditto.
Yeah.
Just whatever Todd just said. Yes, 100%.
That's exactly what Ryan and Henry said.
Are you going to... No.
Did it work out for you last week?
Do you know the answer to that?
I can't remember. What was the one game that you...
It feels like that was just a dig right at me trying to chase
last
week. It did not work.
Dang,
Yeah.
now I was really asking.
I picked the Chiefs when all of you guys picked the Eagles.
Yeah.
And in the first half, it looked like it was going to work out. And then the Chiefs just chiefed in the second half. They did nothing in the second half. So, you hear, do you actually have our standings graphic? Okay, we'll pull that up. But, yeah, I lost a game on Arcade.
And
you
you're
guys
gonna
picked
do
a
it-
game up on me.
You're going to do it again today, aren't you?
I can't because it's the Chargers.
Yeah.
I've learned my lesson over
Smart.
the years, and I'm totally out on the Chargers. Although all of us picked the Chargers to beat the Packers last week,
And they lost.
Yeah.
So all of us lost a game
Packers
there,
are still
which is
trash, so
insane.
you just said that.
I know. That's what I thought. So I'm going Ravens as well. The Ravens are just dominant on both sides of the ball. All right, final game. Did you guys get a sense? Does Baldy think the Broncos are going to win or the Browns? Because he kind of laid out arguments for both.
Yeah. He started off with the Browns,
Yeah.
though. And he talked about their defense maybe had an edge. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's undecided.
And that's why this spread right now in Vegas is 1.5, favoring the Broncos.
Yeah.
So meaning neutral site, maybe the Browns by a point. I mean, this is as much of a pick'em game as you can get in Vegas. Who do you see coming out with the dub?
I'm going to take the Broncos. I think that what we're doing on defense and offense is just a lot better than what the Browns are doing right now. Yes, they have a dominant defense, but we only need 14 points, 13 points. We'll get the game that way. So I'm going to pick the Broncos to win. Russ has been playing really good football. Probably another Courtland Sutton touchdown that helps us win the game, and the defense comes away with another 2 turnovers. So Broncos get the dub.
What's the score?
Oh, wow. 3-0. No, I'm just playing.
And Courtland has a touchdown.
Let me go 13-6.
Oh, what an ugly, ugly game. Alexis, do you see it being a prettier game?
No, I said earlier, I think Broncos win this one 13-10. I think it's going to be just a defensive battle. It's going to be slow. I think you might take a nap at some point during this one. But that's a good thing, I think, for this team, because this is another way that they're going to show that they could grind out another win in a different fashion. I think the Broncos have 3 takeaways this week. Personally, I think Justin Simmons gets another one.
Yeah.
Like, could Macmillan, excuse me, do it again? Yes,
Well,
I do.
4 in the past 3 3 in the past 2 games?
Yeah.
No, 4 in the past 3 games.
4 in the past 3 games. I also think that this defensive front for the Broncos is going to show up against DTR. Like last week, like I mentioned earlier, they generated 22 pressures on 38 Vikings dropbacks. They have to do that against DTR this week, and I think if they do, they will win this game.
I love it.
13-10, baby.
I love it.
Let's
And
go.
I've also got 13 in my score. Unfortunately, I think the Browns are going to score 13. But fortunately, I think the Broncos are going to score 16.
Okay.
We get the lucky number 16 here, and we've all got the under by over a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, Todd, you've got the under by 2 touchdowns. Alexis, you've got it by over 10 points.
Yep.
I've got it by a full touchdown. And Brian also has the Broncos winning 17-6. And Henry's got the Broncos winning by the biggest margin, 24-10.
What is
Henry's
Henry
trying
smoking?
he's trying to revenge himself a little bit after picking the Vikings to win last week.
Patrick Tan got to him, man.
Yeah,
Pat,
he
calling
did.
him out.
So this scares me a little bit that we all think the Broncos are going to win, but maybe it's because we can finally trust this Broncos team.
Yeah, I think we believe.
Yeah.
I think we believe, you know?
Just like Russ says.
Yeah.
We believe.
Yeah, that's
we
why I said it 3
believe that
times.
we were going to win. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, like, I wish Hank was on this show right now, too, because, like, I just want to ask him what he's smoking from Kind Love. Because, like, 24 points for this Broncos offense up against this defense would be, I mean, if they do that, I'm shotgunning a beer or something. If they score 24
there we
points.
Go.
Clip it.
Yes.
Clip it, 'cause
We've got it right here.
If they do that, I will be like, not only is Russ back, this offense is back. Like, we're going to the Super Bowl.
Oh,
if they can score
let's
24
clip this
points
whole
against the
thing.
Browns.
I love it because that'll be like a 35-point performance against like an average
Yeah,
team.
exactly. That would be crazy.
You're right, Alexis. I love that. I love it. Shotgun and a beer on the post-game show.
Don't clip it, you hear? Do not clip it.
It's already clipped.
Too
It's already
late.
up on
Todd
Twitter.
knows.
Too
I'll
late.
backtrack on that.
Hell no, it's too late. We got the footage.
Okay, let's pull up the records. No one's going to gain any ground on anyone this week.
Wow.
Ryan's in first place, 25-11. I'm still in second, 23-13. Alexis in third, 22-14. Todd in fourth, 21-15. But don't feel bad. You're still 6 games above 500, and you're still 3 games above Henry, really the important mark. He's at 18-18, and Henry's not on the show today because he's still not above 500. So we'll see if he can get above 500
Hank was
now.
fired.
And yes, he was fired.
Yeah.
What? You have it? Let's pull this up. Here's
I know
some-
I'm fourth. I know I'm fourth on that list.
Yeah.
But what I'm not fourth in is the Splash Sports Picks Egg Contest,
Hey.
where I came in second place and I got paid. And if everybody joins, $5K can go to the winner. Second place $1.4K. Third place is $720. And I won about $90 because I had to split. I was tied for second place. But I don't know about anybody else in here, but I think I did the best. So I may not be the best at picking AFC West, but when it comes to the entire NFL, doing a pretty good job at it.
And you win money over at Splash Sports. So if you want to get in, it's a weekly contest that we're doing every week. Go to splashsports.com/DNVR. We put our picks in there. You can see where our picks are, see how they stack up. Some of you beat me this week. Only one person beat Todd. this past week. Click the link in our description and go to splashsports.com. And like you said, the more people we get, the bigger this prize is every week. So it's going to be a fun thing to pay attention to on Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and Monday. So get in splashsports.com/DNVR. And speaking of watching games, let's pull that up super quick. Here is your guide for this week as you watch the Broncos make a run for the playoffs. Friday, here's the important games. You want the Dolphins to beat the Jets. Right now, the Dolphins have that division. Broncos can't compete with any other division winners, so it's okay if the Dolphins run away with that division.
And they're going to smack the Jets.
Oh, man, they're going to smack. I love that it's a Black Friday football, but this game shouldn't be very close. Then you have the Bengals taking on the Steelers. This is one where it could really go either way, but Bengals without a quarterback, let them beat the Steelers to drop them to 6-5. Then you got the Jags playing the Texans. Jags, again, running away with their division. Let them run away with their division, but have the Texans come down to earth. And if the Texans lose and the Broncos beat them the following week, they will have jumped them officially in the standings. Then you're going to be cheering for the Bucs to beat the Colts. Colts right in that AFC in the hunt picture with the Broncos. Then Eagles playing the Bills. Have the Bills lose this one. And then the final one, Sunday Night Football. Of course, you want the Chargers to lose. So we're going to put this guide out over at DNVR_Broncos so you can follow these games. And before we get out of here, we've got a couple super chats, right? You hear? Let's pull them up. Oh, my gosh, more than a couple. Will Jock says, love this trio. We love you, Will. Thank you.
Thanks,
Much love.
Kyle comes in and says, wasted super chat. He says, what substantive changes have been made to this team between the Jets losing or between the Jets beating the Broncos and the Broncos now?
I think it's been a lot of defensive players. A lot of young guys stepping up. J-Mac coming in and balling. Baron Browning coming back and starting the ball. And so they just bring a new energy, new life to the team and been instrumental in creating and taking the ball away. So I think it's the young guys that really stepped up and gave, substance to this Denver Broncos defense.
Yeah, and as Pat told us yesterday, also trips to Del Frisco's on a weekly basis. Yep.
Dude, an 8-ounce filet can do wonders for the body.
Yeah. Nick says, Todd.
You wouldn't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. Said, Todd, did the Broncos ruin Cam Newton's career? His stats after the Super Bowl are actually better than I thought, but still a huge fall from grace after the Super Bowl, and especially after Week 1 of 2016.
Yeah, I think, just like kind of what the Broncos did to the Chiefs this year, I think we just kind of unlocked the formula to beating Cam Newton, or specifically, the Carolina Panthers at the time. To be honest, their playbook wasn't huge. So once we locked in and kind of got an understanding for what they wanted to do, I think we got a good handle on who they were as a team, and then we knew kind of how to attack it. I don't know if other people watched it, but if you did, you probably kind of understood how to beat the Panthers.
So there is something real to a team ruining someone and kind of putting a playbook out there for how to beat them, because I remember in that 2015 run, Aaron Rodgers came to town on Sunday Night Football, was awful, and then he was awful for like the next year and a half after playing you guys.
Yeah, it's 100% true. It's a copycat league, and once you find out something works against a player or a team or they don't know how to handle it, guys usually pick up on it and figure them out. And, that year we beat the Panthers, they had only lost one game that year. Like, they were phenomenal.
Yes.
And then after that, once we played them, then we played them to start the season on Thursday night, I think it was a wrap for them after that.
Yep. I mean, they had the #1 offense.
Yep.
They had the MVP.
Yep.
They were a one-loss team. If they would have won that Super Bowl, they would have gone down as one of the best teams of all time.
Hands down.
Not happening because of what you guys did.
Not right.
All right.
Here.
Daniel says, can't wait for the Broncos to fly down here to Houston to play the Texans. Let's go Broncos, DB for life. Denver Broncos for life. Man, it seems like just every game from here on out is going to be awesome. It's going to be exciting, except for that Patriots game where hopefully we can be talking about just a Broncos blowout in that one. Santa's going to come a day early for the Broncos.
Real quick, I just got this on Twitter, which is I thought was perfect for today. America's largest egg producers and industry groups illegally rigged the market to drive up the price of eggs, a jury has found.
Holy.
So maybe Zach is onto something. Maybe eggs are bad. Maybe eggs.
I knew it.
Maybe it's all a scam.
They do that with everything, with diamonds, with avocados. It's all a scam.
Aren't eggs super cheap anyway?
Yeah,
no, they weren't for a minute. It was
They
like
weren't?
$8-10 a carton
No
for a second.
way.
For like, you wouldn't know again because
Yeah,
you're not
very
purchasing
true.
eggs. But
Didn't they used to be like $1.99?
No,
Yeah.
I don't think they were.
I
ever
mean-
Back in 1999, maybe.
I bought some eggs the other day for like $4.99 for a dozen, which is
Okay.
like good right now.
Yeah.
They used to be a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I just save my money. That's why I don't eat eggs.
Nerd.
Save that money. Nick comes in and says, Alexis and Zach, what advice would you give to someone who is trying to make it in this business?
I'm in the business too. Golly.
What would
Like,
your
you can't
advice
be
be,
a
Todd?
football
Well,
player.
first you gotta go play for the Broncos.
Yeah.
There you go.
Then, no, just like,
Yeah, I think it's just to try to be an expert in whatever it is that you're doing. If it's football, the NFL, NBA, NHL, whatever it is, just really lock in. Try to become an expert in that field. If you haven't played, like people like me, got to work a little bit harder, study a little harder, but it's worth it. So you just got to put in the time. And I always say, if you think you're working hard, somebody else is working harder. So you got to try to beat them.
Yep, totally agree. And then also just reach out to anyone and everyone
Networking is
that's in the
everything.
business, and just do it the right way. Don't do it in an annoying way. But if you reach out to people, not all of them are gonna get back to you, but someone will.
Yeah.
And then just try to build those relationships. And you're not going to start with a high-paying job.
Nope.
It's going to be a grind. But I thought if you put 5 years into it,
Yeah.
you're gonna outwork and outlive everyone else, and you're gonna maybe have to have side hustles and things during your time. But if you want it, I think you can get it. You just have to put the work in.
I didn't have
what was one of your side hustles?
One of my side hustles, a Manny.
Okay.
Yeah,
There you
yeah.
go.
Did that
You'd
during
be
the summer.
such a good Manny. Oh
Thank
my
you.
gosh.
Thank
You
Yeah.
wouldn't let them eat eggs. They'll never get someone
They don't
else.
have nothing.
He
My
would
kids
be
would
a
be
good
so
nanny.
Chicken fingers and fries, I think, is all they would have.
Yeah.
And then I grew that role into a tutor. So I was a tutor for
Oh,
a little bit.
nice.
My very first job, though, and this was before I tried to get in this industry, I was I worked for a Dairy Queen.
Okay.
But before I was even like making the ice cream behind, I was in one of the inflatable ice cream things that are on the street
Okay.
that, advertise.
Like a Miles, like a mascot
Yeah,
for
exactly.
the. Okay,
Yeah. So that's one of the things. That was my very first job. What was your first job?
My first job, my very first job, I pulled cable. I was a freelancer. I did it for the Pac-12 network first, and then ESPN, NBCSN when that was a thing, TNT. I'd be at like Pepsi Center at 4 a.m. on like most game days. So that's how I got myself through college. And then my first full-time job was the in-arena producer and reporter for the Denver Nuggets.
That's big time.
So that was a fun leap, but people think that I was just handed that job because I
Right.
just graduated, but I actually was working behind the scenes
Yeah.
for 4 years prior to that. So yeah, you got to grind it out. But even at that, like I didn't have a comma in my paycheck when I was working for the Nuggets. Like I was poor, so I was working at the Denver Post doing like a
Right.
Denver Post Sports Minute thing for a while. So you always have to have a side hustle because it's a tough life there early in this industry, but eventually you can prove your worth and you'll get paid for it.
Yeah. Todd, what was your first job?
Didn't have a lot of jobs. I was always at football, but I
That's
did
true.
one summer in college just to earn money. I did have to work at a moving company. So me and another football player used to just move people's furniture.
Man,
Dang.
you earned your
So
money
we
with
were
that
lifting,
one.
lifting nonstop.
I
Yeah.
always say,
Yeah.
who would sign up to do that? And I guess Todd Davis.
And I guess me. You guys
Strong
have some
football
good. You guys have
players.
some good side hustles. I thought you were gonna say like, yeah, I sold drugs from like for like 5 years. I had to make ends meet before the media took off.
I was like interning. I was working at a startup for Mile High Sports. I was all over the place. I hardly went to class. I just kind of had an agreement with my professors my senior year. I was like, I'm probably not going to be here,
Yeah.
but it's because I'm getting real world experience.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
They checked off.
Todd,
Go
I'm sure
Buffs.
you had to play school as well as playing football, right? Or did you just play football?
What do you mean play school?
Was it Cardale Jones where he was asked like at Ohio State what classes do you do or something? He's like, oh, I don't play school. I play football here.
No, I definitely had to
That's
play
amazing.
school.
Yeah, Sacs Day. They don't let you just get by.
Oh no, they
like
weren't
that.
playing.
Now with NIL at those big schools, you really don't need to
No.
do
Damn.
school, I don't think.
No.
It's a different world, much different, just 10 years, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
We got one or two more super chats. Andrew, last one, says, earlier this week, the DNVR team did the top 5 players. I was surprised Pirine was not on that list. So, shame. Without him, the Vikings would have won. And there were certainly plenty of guys that deserved to be on that list that were honorable mentions. And Samaje clearly won. I mean, he was huge at the end of the Bills game. He was huge at the end of the Vikings game. And I would imagine that the Browns have a Samaje Pirine package for the end of a game now, because you can't watch a team just get back-to-back weeks with one guy and not have a plan for him, especially with the way that Schwartz has that defense going.
Yep.
I'd have to imagine there's going to be a guy that's on him at the end of the game if the Broncos are driving, needing points, right?
Yeah, I think just like you spot a quarterback, they'll have somebody spying Samaje, because, you know, he's getting every single yard we need towards the end of the game.
I just want to point out the Bet365 top 5. It's not just like the only 5 players that we thought had a good game. Like, we can only put 5 on the list.
Yep.
I just want to point that out, because I got some shit last week, too, for saying Jerry Jeudy over Courtland Sutton. And I'm like, we already gave Courtland the love.
Yep.
Like, I was trying to show Jerry some love. So, like, it's not like we only think these 5 guys had a good game. They're just on the list for that.
Right, exactly.
Particular segment.
Exactly. And Nick rounds us out. He says, here you go, Todd. What's been the biggest challenge going from player to media?
Well, thank you, Nick. I appreciate the question, man. No, these guys work really hard. You know, the media, it's not easy. You got to do a lot of preparation. You got to come prepared. You got to know your stuff. You got to know your facts. I know Zach makes it look so easy, man, but it's hard work. You got to work on your transitions. If you want to be great, that would be my go-to key. Transitions are everything.
I'm a little offended. I played high school football, and I'm not being asked what the key is from going to player to media.
Yeah.
What would your recommendation be?
I wasn't asked, Todd. I can't give my input there.
You can't give him that key.
I played powder puff football. Nobody wants to ask me anything. It's fine. It's fine.
Alexis, do you think the Broncos will win?
I do.
Boom, there we go. We've all got the Broncos winning. Great vibes on today's show. Thank you, Alexis. Thank you, Todd. I'm so thankful that both of you are at this company this year. First year rocking and rolling with you. It's been awesome. Thankful for everyone tuning in. It really means the world, because without you guys, we're not able to do this, living out our dreams. So thank you all so much. Have a great Thanksgiving. We will be back pre-game, the countdown, going live 45 minutes before the game. So tune in around 1:30 on Sunday on DNVR Sports YouTube. And then, of course, post-game. Let's see if the Broncos can keep this unreal streak going. Have a great holidays.
Happy Thanksgiving.
We all silly like the mayor.